Sean Salisbury to Jim McMahon to Warren Moon. Warren Moon needs some people to throw the ball to. He hasn't. And Chris Carter, we talked about Cooper, the tight end, and it's the ever-changing quarterback scenario, certainly in this division, something we'll talk about after the Vikings make their first of the 2 picks. Dennis Green has a ball club that made the playoffs last year, that is a team that is definite contender to Dallas's and San Francisco's throne in the NFC. Let's go up to the Vikings.
The 18th pick in the first round, the Minnesota Vikings select Dwayne Washington, cornerback, North Carolina State. The Vikings remain on the clock.
That's Dwayne Washington right there. Just selected by the Minnesota Vikings in relief because he thought he might go a little higher, but I'll tell you what, this is a team that's going to be exciting. And Mel, for value, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Oh, real good pick. He was right off that top group as far as Aaron Glenn and Antonio Langham is the 3rd best cornerback, right in there with Thomas Randolph from Kansas State, and certainly with Carl Lee getting up there in age. Same thing with Audrey McMillan. It's a neat area. Dwayne Washington's the type of player with his size can do a great job against the likes of Sterling Sharp in that same division. You watch Dwayne Washington this year, a guy that runs a 4.42 at about 193 pounds. Here against Kevin Knox, who makes the play. Also a good, as Joe mentioned earlier, special teams player. Here he gets in for the punt block against Maryland last year. In the Senior Bowl, breaking on the football, coming up with the interception. There he was working against Malcolm Sebron from Fresno State, who could be a 3rd-round pick. Here against Shelby Hill from Syracuse. Good coverage. Again, makes the interception. So a big play guy. Really not much difference in value between a Washington and an Aaron Glenn. Certainly, I think Minnesota looks wide receiver at some point. Shante Carver's name has come up. So they are in a great opportunity now to get a Warren Moon at the helm and start developing talent around him to compete with Green Bay for that divisional title.
And don't forget, Audrey McMillan was cut in a salary cap move. So the Vikings get the corner in Washington. Now what do? They are on the clock. They've got 13 minutes till their next first-round pick. And there is first-round pick of the Vikings, Mr. Washington. He's number 1.
Some of your old friends have a brand new buddy. A buddy that brings a winning tradition to the Valley of the Sun. And with guys like these, and moves like this, it's in the cards for '94. Season tickets start at just $135. So stop by your local Dillard's or call the Cardinals today. Get ready for Buddy Ball.
Nature's song echoes through this land, where today looks like yesterday and feels like forever.
I feel the music in my heart when Montana sings.
Number 55, Rotisserie Geek.
I hate these guys. They're egghead tie-wearing types. Sure, they know their stats, RBI score, blah, salary. Blah, 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 blah. Maybe these pencil necks are smarter than I am, but I love the game. And I got a girlfriend. They're nothing but a bunch of rotisserie geeks.
Watch Rome, speak Rome. Talk 2, phone-in sports talk with a language all its own. Monday through Friday, 10:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2.
Dwayne Washington didn't take him long to get a Vikings jersey and a Vikings cap. And he is their first of their 2 number 1 picks. The second one on the clock right now. And here's what Mel was talking about. Carl Lee in his 12th year at corner. You see Scott and Glenn at the same thing, but really Pearson at the other corner. And Lamar Griggs off the bench in his 4th year. So that's where Dwayne Washington fits in. We started talking about Warren Moon. In this division and also the NFC West, it's amazing. You talk about what free agency has done, added to the salary cap, and teams have to move players because they can't afford folks. Here are the starting quarterbacks as we line up this September in the Central. Scott Mitchell now starts in Detroit. Warren Moon will start in Minnesota. Brett Favre is the only holdover from September last year in the starting role. It was DeBerg that began at Tampa in the first game, not Erickson, although Erickson played most of the season. And Eric Kramer, who was the 3rd quarterback for Detroit, is now the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. So only one of the 5 is the same as it lined up last year in September, Joe, and Brave New World, is it not?
It's a brave new world, Boomer, but even though there was one of the 5 that lined up last year, the best of the bunch has just arrived, and that's Warren Moon. Warren Moon is a phenomenal athlete. He's in such great physical condition, throws, I think, the best passes in football. You look at his record, 37-20. You look at the Vikings record, 34-30. His pass per yard's 269, almost 270. That's a product of the system. The touchdown passes, again, a product of the system. The interceptions, key here, a product of the system. The one thing that Warren Moon is going to get that he did not get in Houston the last couple of years, and it's going to give him back a wealth of confidence, is protection. It was something that the Oilers struggled with. It was something that caused Warren's numbers to go down drastically. You can bet your bottom dollar, having had Jim McMahon there last year, Dennis Green understands how and why to protect a quarterback. This is the best upgrade that any team has made in the league so far this year. This gets them a little bit back with that Dallas Cowboy trade when they gave away everything in the world for Herschel Walker. This is the deal of the century as far as I'm concerned.
Warren Moon, and last year with a veteran quarterback, McMahon, Dennis Green was hoping to get Joe 11 games out of him, and he got it.
Right.
Warren Moon, is it a matter of years, 3-4 years? Don't you think he could play? I do.
Absolutely. I think it's not a question of games with Warren Moon. See, the other thing is he's tough, he's durable. He doesn't have a history of injury. I think you're looking at, he'll sign probably a 2-year deal. And then I think it'll be up to Warren whether or not he wants to play 2 more. His age is totally insignificant. We can always think of George Blanda. We may be seeing the next George Blanda without the kicking element as far as age. I think he could go to 45. I really believe that. I hope he does.
Should sound like Charlie Connerly here.
I'll be 45 this year.
45. I know you still think you can play. Hey,
and I know
Warren can kick. Can he kick?
Give him a chance. He might be able to. Why not? I just think Warren Moon is going to really have a chance to blossom and show his skills. This could be the opportunity that he has looked for. I think a lot of things happened in Houston that just didn't allow him to get to the next level. If he doesn't get it to the next level here, it'll probably happen for him next year. Dennis Green has done a great job of coaching. He's made a great acquisition in Warren.
I think the key thing you bring up, not getting hit on every play. But you come out of that run and shoot and you come to a regular set, it's going to make miles and miles of difference. Well, we're talking Vikings. Let's go to the newest Viking, Dwayne Washington, who was with our Craig James. Craig.
I think relief might be the appropriate word. Every time the phone rang, your whole family jumped up, huh?
Yeah, every time. You know, I think Detroit was trying to make a trade there, but things didn't work out. But luckily, I'm a Viking now. So.
Had Minnesota talked to you prior to today?
No, they really hadn't talked to me much. They may have thought I was going to be going by now, but I knew they were interested. They came down and worked me out to school, but other than that, no.
In your mind, what elevated you recently to #1 pick?
I think it was definitely my 40 time at the Combine. I knew if I ran a 4.5 there, I probably would go in the second round. If I ran a 4.4, you know, probably definitely first. So things worked out.
In the National Football League, play a lot of man-to-man coverage. How much did you do of that in college?
I did quite a bit, more in practice than than in the games. I think that I'm definitely capable of doing it in the National Football League, and I'm really up for it.
What can you do to help yourself get ready for that?
Just preparation, just keep on working on the little things, fundamentals.
All right, good luck. We appreciate you taking the time. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know it is. I'm ready to go, man.
All right, back to you, Chris.
All right, Craig. Dwayne Washington, the first DB chosen in the first round by the Vikings since 1983. They picked Joey Browner, then they got a heck of a player. They feel they have the same in Washington. Vikings have another pick coming. And don't forget, the coin toss between the Jags and Panthers.
Hi, I'm Mark Anderson. Every day, thousands of AT&T customers switch to MCI.
Here's one of them, Kim Rice.
Hi, Gilda.
What made you join us?
Well, I'd always been with AT&T and thought, why? I'm going to call MCI and find out really what I can save. I have my calculator out. I knew the rates with nighttime, weekend, all the different discount plans.
She's a tough customer.
After 3 minutes on the phone with the MCI rep, I said, sign me up.
How much are you saving with us?
Versus AT&T Basic, I saved $267 a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Give us a call and find out how much you can save by switching from AT&T to MCI.
What tire do you trust in the wet? A tire that removes over 2 gallons of water per second from under the tread. The all-season MX4. Another engineering splash from Michelin.
Alternative math. 1 croissant plus 1 hash brown plus 1 coffee equals $1.99 every day. Add it to your morning at Burger King. We may not be the world's #1 fast food place. It just tastes that way.
when it comes to your financial future. Fortis can help protect you and those you love. Fortis, a worldwide financial services company, $46 billion strong. A powerful choice for mutual funds, life and health insurance, employee benefits. A name you can trust around the world and right in your own backyard. Fortis, solid answers for a changing world.
In business, there never seems to be enough of it. And the last thing you can afford to do is run out of it. Time. So rest assured, Delta Airlines will help you make the most of it. With over 4,900 flights a day to over 300 cities around the world. And best of all, we'll make sure you arrive relaxed and refreshed with plenty of time to spare. Delta Airlines.
These guys got to start brushing their teeth.
Well, the war room cam of the Vikes. It's zeroed in on Dennis Green and company in the 19th overall selection in the first round. Remember, there are 29 this year. And there are 8 extra second-round picks because of compensatory. And so we have a boatload of picks on this first day. And we will be with you either here up until 9 o'clock on ESPN, or we will continue to cover all of the second round on ESPN2 when the baseball game comes on at 9 o'clock Eastern time from Dodger Stadium. But more on that in a moment. Let's look at the Vikings wide receiver core, and certainly very good ones. Chris Carter, as we have said time and time and time again, all he does is catch touchdowns. He doesn't have a big yards per reception figure. Anthony Carter used to be fabulous at this, has fallen off some, at least for him. Of course, Kadri is just developing, and you can see their reserves. But maybe a guy that can stretch the field, and Mel, if that's the case, let's look at your wide receiver board. Who might that guy be?
Well, the players that are still available, Johnny Morton from USC, who had a tremendous senior year out there on the West Coast, did a great job working with Rob Johnson, who should be one of the first players taken in next year's draft. The guy that I really like here because of rule changes is David Palmer. You have the 2-point conversion, you have the 30-yard line kickoff. David Palmer can take a kickoff return and do a lot of damage in the open field. He can also play quarterback on that 2-point conversion down at the goal line. So I think he is a very valuable football player because he can do so many things well. So David Palmer, Johnny Morton at this point, certainly with the defensive end situation with Dolman, Shante Carver's name would come up. But I think David Palmer is very interesting because he can do so many things well. And with the salary cap, that's important.
Well, I tell you what, we have seen a lot of people give a wide receiver to the Vikings in this slot, but Joe, I think it'd be a mistake.
I agree with you 100%, Chris. The reason why, and I don't argue, I think Mel's got a very good theory, a very good idea. The problem is if you draft a rookie here at number 1, you got to count on him playing. That means you got Kadri Ismail, a starting, really second-year wide receiver. Jake Reed, almost like a rookie because he didn't play a lot, was hurt a lot last year. Now you add a third rookie, you get a great veteran quarterback, and you wind up adding rookies as a first-round pick. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think you go the defensive side, possibly Shante. Now, the reason why is, remember, Chris Dolman was a linebacker. Shante could become that linebacker, outside rusher, down lineman like Chris Dolman did. I think that's conceivable. It makes more sense to me for them to go on the defensive side of the ball or almost any place else but wide receiver.
Well, as you look here at the wide receiver core, with only one of them going Johnson to Pittsburgh, teams that you think at least are going to look heavily at wide receiver a little bit farther down. The Giants for sure, maybe the Kansas City Chiefs. They have of those top 4 or 5 guys, and a lot of the clubs, Mel, at just 4. They thought that perhaps by the time they got down to the Giants pick at 24 and 25 for the Chiefs, that all those 4 guys would be gone. It now looks like they'll get at least one of them, and you brought it up like when Rodney Hampton slid down to the running back.
Exactly. This is the point where you can really come up with some steals. Even on the offensive line, you have Todd Stussy from California, a bookend tackle. You have Trey Johnson, a guard tackle from Temple. You have